Hello and welcome back to the Watford Way today for your Watford versus Arsenal match preview. I'm James and today I'm going to be previewing the massive game at Vicarage Road. I believe we're on Sky Sports Super Sunday as well, so maybe Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher will be at Vicarage Road as well. But look, I think every game now going forward, I say this every week, every stream, every video. It's a massive game. It's a massive game in Watford season. I do think we can win it. We have the players to do so. I think we've shown this season, beating Everton, Manchester United especially. We can beat anyone. We put up good performances against Chelsea, Man City as well. The problem is we don't perform that way that often. So hopefully on Sunday that will be one of those days. In terms of the game and what I'm expecting from Arsenal, I think they've been doing absolutely brilliantly under Mikel Arteta this season. The football they play, the young players they're bringing through, it's exactly what I'd like Watford to be in the future. A young manager, new ideas, and just a well-run football club. They're recruiting well. They're not spending loads and loads of money. They're buying players from off leagues. Players that aren't really well known, not necessarily Premier League proven, but players from less major leagues in the Premier League. And I think Arsenal have done a fantastic job this season, and they're ultimately challenging for top four. And I did an article actually for an Arsenal fan site. I retweeted that on the Watford Way on our Twitter account, so you can go and check that out on there. But I discussed what the game meant for both sides, and for Arsenal, they're vying for a Champions League spot, and I think if they beat us, they can go above a couple of teams into that top four. And for Watford, we're fighting for our lives, down in the relegation zone. So there's something in this, really, for both teams. The fact that it's on television does make me slightly nervous because, tell me when Watford have ever performed great on TV. I can't really remember a time where Watford have performed particularly well on Sky Sports or BT Sport. But that's the situation we're in. We're on TV, being broadcast to everyone in the country, and we're against Arsenal at Vicarage Road. So I'm very much looking forward to that. In terms of their key players and players to keep an eye on, I think Aaron Ramsdale in goal has been superb for them this season. People questioned that signing. Aaron Ramsdale, relegated from Bournemouth, £30 million. Again, that looks to be a bargain if he keeps up his form. Emile Smith-Rowe, Bukayo Saka. They've just got a good, young, progressive team. They play good football. That's what I want Watford to be. I don't want Roy Hodgson. I don't really want Ranieri. I want a 40-year-old manager like we had with Xisco, where even when the times do get tough, stick with them. Let them build a philosophy and then see where it goes. Where I think at Watford we're way too trigger happy in terms of managerial sackings. I think we need to really take a leaf out of Arsenal's book because so far this season they've demonstrated the way to run a football club, and I think they've done that really, really well. In terms of my quick reaction to the Manchester United game, but before we move on to another issue I want to speak about actually in regards to the starting 11, I thought it was a good performance overall. I wasn't entirely impressed with our defending. I know a lot of people are saying, great defensive performance, really happy with the clean sheet. And I was happy with the clean sheet, don't get me wrong. A 0-0 away at Old Trafford is absolutely fantastic. But I think the scoreline, didn't really reflect the pattern of play and how the game panned out. You look at Manchester United, they had 4 big chances in the game. 2 fell to Ronaldo, I think 2 fell to Bruno Fernandes. And you'd expect them to score them chances. Ronaldo hit the post. I think Ronaldo had a header. Bruno Fernandes had a header. He had a one-on-one opportunity with Ben Foster. Foster did really well in the game, but I do think, looking back, that they should have won the game, comfortably 2-3, 4-0. And that does concern me because I do think we've kind of, escaped there. We've kind of walked away from Old Trafford, really happy with the result. But as I said, the result really doesn't reflect the true story of the game. So I do hope for a much improved performance against Arsenal. There is an issue, though. I don't know if you've all seen, but the Watford Observer, they do seem to have some sources at Watford. They're not, too reliable, but they do seem to have a few sources at the club. They put an article out a couple of days ago, I think it was, actually talking about Ismaila Sarr. after the game, he actually went down, and the Watford physios went over to assess him and assess his fitness. I do think there might be a slight issue there, and I really hope it's not a reoccurrence of the injury he just had, because we've seen a difference Sarr made. You know, the cross he made for Emmanuel Dennis against Aston Villa, it was top class. You know, real good quality there from Ismaila Sarr. And if he is going to be out again for a prolonged period of time, I do think that is going to hinder the team drastically. But the article was a bit strange from what I've observed. They didn't really confirm anything or deny anything. They just kind of pointed it out and said, you know, this could be an issue. So fingers crossed it's not going to be an issue going forward. Because obviously I do think Ismaila Sarr is a key part to Watford's team, is a threat to the opposition. You can see, you know, opposition defenders, regardless of what team they're in, you know, Manchester United were scared of him. Brighton, Norwich, you know, they're all scared of Ismaila Sarr. But I think the problem is, you know, having that one threat for Watford, it's very easy to mark that player out the game. Whereas when Emmanuel Dennis is on fire, when João Pedro is playing up top, you know, you've got three players there who are very dynamic, very quick, can play, you know, in various positions. I do think it benefits Watford. And that's another thing I want to discuss, actually. You know, João Pedro back from injury. Hodgson decided last game for whatever reason. Joshua King played instead. You know, Joshua King apparently has been playing with a back injury for a few weeks, which is baffling, because, you know, why play, you know, an injured player when you've got Cucho Hernandez, João Pedro, Samuel Kalu even to come in. You know, Roy Hodgson is obviously very stubborn. He obviously has his favourite players, and I think Joshua King is probably up there as being one of Hodgson's favourite players. I do want João to get an opportunity against Arsenal. He's back from injury. He's fit. He's ready to go. Joshua King is obviously having some sort of issue with his lower back by the sounds of it. So, you know, throw João Pedro up top, Dennis on the left, Sarr on the right. I'd probably go a midfield three of Kayembe, Louza, Sissoko. I think that's superb. So hopefully Roy Hodgson is listening to this, and hopefully he will implement what I'm saying. Andrew's here, James is here, Quasar's here, VJ, Adam as well. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. Much appreciated. Yeah, it's just going to be very, very interesting. I do hope the injury to Sarr isn't as serious as the Watford Observer's making out, because they do have a tendency to, you know, to clickbait articles and overhype things. So I wouldn't read too much into that. I'd expect Sarr to play against Arsenal on Sunday. Let me know your thoughts on the game as well. Let me know how you would set up, because I'm going to go into my starting 11 prediction now. And this is really very simple for me now. Earlier in the season, you know, I was chopping and changing the goalkeeper. You know, does Foster play? Does Batman play? I think it's clear now, especially, you know, watching the Manchester United game, Foster is clearly the number one. Actually, wouldn't surprise me if we did extend his contract for a further year. I'd say that's something to keep an eye on. We do have Maduka Okoye in. Oh, I think you just lost me there. I'm back. I think I'm back. Let me know if I'm back. We do have Maduka Okoye coming in the summer from Sparta Rotterdam, who potentially could be the new Watford number one. But to be honest, I think Ben Foster's a good character. I think he's good to have around the dressing room. Batman, I'd expect to be sold, but Foster, I'd say keep an eye on that situation, because potentially, you know, potentially they could extend that for a further year, which would actually take Foster, I think, to 40 years old, which is absolutely crazy. But there we go. That's my thoughts on that. In terms of my starting 11 prediction, anyway, I would go with Ben Foster in goal. Kiko Feminier had a slight knock, which meant he missed the Manchester United game. Watford have yet to release their injury update this week, so I'm not sure what's happening in regards to Kiko Feminier's fitness. If he isn't fit, of course, I play Jeremy Ngakia alongside Craig Cathcart and Samir at left back, of course. The guy we all love, Hassan Kamara, fantastic signing in the summer. And he obviously starts at left back for me. Midfield, I've already mentioned, Imran Louza, Sissoko, Kayembe. Again, Roy Hodgson seems to really like Tom Cleverley. You know, he's one of his favourite players. I think Tom Cleverley, I think all of Tom Cleverley's England appearances actually come under Roy Hodgson, which explains why, you know, Roy, you know, keeps selecting him, even though it's clear to, I think it's clear to everyone that Tom Cleverley isn't up to Premier League standard anymore, which is a shame. But if we do go down, I do think Tom Cleverley, you know, will be a good asset to have. So I would stick with Tom Cleverley for now. Not in midfield. I'd take Tom Cleverley out, but in terms of keeping him at the club, I definitely would do that. But my midfield three would be Cleverley out, Kayembe in, and then I'd keep Louza and Sissoko in there, because I do think Louza going forward, offers a lot of creativity. He's yet to score for Watford. I think he got 7 goals last season for Nice. Was it Nice? I can't remember. Was it FC Lorient? I can't remember. I can't remember the club he was at, but he did get 7 goals last season. I think he was his club's penalty taker, actually, which is obviously very interesting. So I do want to see Imran Louza contribute a bit more to the team in terms of goals and assists. But I'm going to be a bit patient with him. Obviously, it's his first season in the Premier League in England. There has to be some sort of transition there. But I do want more goals coming from midfield, because we are so heavily relying on that front three. And in terms of the front three, I would take Joshua King out, even if he doesn't have an injury anymore, even if he's miraculously recovered from this back injury. I'd bring him out because I don't think he's contributed the goal since December. So Joshua King comes out for me. João Pedro comes in. JP10, our Brazilian, only costs 3 million. You see where I was going there. João Pedro comes in. Then Emmanuel Dennis on the left, Ismail Assar on the right, and that is how I would set up. And I think that team really offers, a lot of attacking threat. Do I think Roy will actually play that way? Absolutely not. I don't think Roy, would be that adventurous. Really, I think it probably, still keep Tom Cleverley in there. Dan Gosling, by the way, a bit of transfer news to discuss actually before we move on to my score prediction. Ashley Fletcher has moved on to New York Red Bulls in the MLS in America. He completed a loan move a couple of days ago, actually. And that does mean there's a space in the Premier League squad for obviously Dan Gosling to come in. So maybe we might see Dan Gosling make a return and feature against Arsenal. We'll have to wait and see on that. But I do think that's going to be a very, very interesting situation, whether Roy likes to look at Dan Gosling or not, because I do think the midfield three I stated there, Kayembe, Louza, and Musa Sissoko, I do think that should be, the starting midfield three until the end of the season. Quite frankly, I think that's our strongest selection we can make. So I hope Roy won't change that, but obviously, we don't really know what he's like. He's only been here for 6 or 7 games. But yeah, I thought I'd bring that up. Ashley Fletcher off to New York Red Bulls in the MLS, and Dan Gosling looks to be coming back into the Premier League squad. In terms of my score prediction for the game, I do think it's going to be a close encounter. I expect Arsenal to win the game. I'm under no illusions that they have quality. They play much more progressive attacking football than we do. I expect us to sit back, hit them on the counter attack and see if we can do damage that way. But I am going to be optimistic. I don't really want to play that negatively. I do want Watford to venture forward and be a bit more expressive with the players we've got. If Roy chooses to do so, as he says, he doesn't want to go too gung ho. Score prediction. It's always difficult. I'll give you 2 predictions, as I usually do. I'll give you a realistic prediction and an optimistic prediction. So realistically, I expect Arsenal to win the game. Watford haven't kept a clean sheet in the Premier League at home this season. I don't think anyway. I'm sure we haven't. So I expect Arsenal, will score with the attacking talent they've got. Lacazette, Saka, Smith Rowe, Thomas Partey, Odegaard. They do have quality players. But optimistically, I'm going to be positive. I'm going to be hopeful. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Watford win. But realistically, I can maybe see, an Arsenal maybe 3-0, 3-1 win. But optimistically, yeah, 2-1 win. Last minute winner from João Pedro would be absolutely superb. So there we have it. That is the preview for the Arsenal game. Appreciate you watching. Really do appreciate the support on the channel at the moment. I've done this preview a bit earlier this week, just because I've been lacking a bit of time. I'm a very, very busy man. But do not worry, I'll still be covering the upcoming games on here on YouTube. So thank you for watching. Really do appreciate it. I think there's some FA Cup football on actually at the moment as well. Last time I checked, Luton were winning. They were beating Chelsea 1-0. I'm not sure if there's a score update on that or not, but yeah, we don't like Luton, do we? We do not like Luton at all. But as I said, I appreciate you watching. Fingers crossed Watford can obviously get together the 3 points on Sunday. See if I can see Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville as well. That would be good. A little Watford Way Gary Neville collaboration potentially. I'm joking. Again, this is a very, very prolonged outro. I'm never so sorry. I'll let you go and enjoy your evening. So I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you again very, very soon. Bye bye, guys. See you later.